End in sight. Presidential Commission probing the controversial central bank bond issuance hands over the final report to President Maithripala Sirisena. Melting pot. The SITEM issue takes another turn.
The Medical Council agreed to recognize the SITEM students with 5 more weeks of clinical training.
Clarification. Parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran says they never asked for the word federal to be included in the proposed constitution. For the love of tusks, another well-known tusker suspected to be killed for ivory. Hanging up the boots. Lasith Malinga calls time on his one-day international career at the end of 2019 World Cup. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanayaka. For your top story this evening, the final report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of Treasury bonds was handed over to President Maithripala Sirisena earlier today. More than 60 witnesses appeared before the Commission during a period of over 8 months, and the report was submitted in the presence of all 3 of its members.
President Maithripala Sirisena instructed the Attorney General to appoint a Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the 23rd of January this year to probe the controversial Treasury bond issuance of the central bank. A 3-member commission was appointed on the 27th of the same month, headed by Supreme Court Justice K.T. Chitrasiri and President's Counsel Prasanna Sujeeva Jayawardena and former Deputy Auditor General K. Kandasamy completing the commission. A group consisting 10 attorneys from the Attorney General's Department, headed by Additional Solicitor General Dappula D. Livera, was also appointed to assist the Commission. The Commission of Inquiry commenced proceedings on the 6th of February and the present Governor of Central Bank appeared before the Commission as the first witness. Thereon, more than 60 witnesses appeared before the Commission, including officials of the Central Bank, high-profile government officials, the Auditor General Gamini Vijay Singha and the government printer Gangani Kalpana. A number of politicians of the governing party as well as the opposition, including parliamentarian Vasantha Samarasinghe, Bandula Gunawardena, D.E.W. Gunasekara, as well as former Minister Ravi Karunanayake and Minister Malik Samaravikrama and Kabir Hashim and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe appeared before the Commission. The former Governor of the Central Bank Arjun Mahendran also sat in the audience during the Commission's proceedings from the 21st of March. The Commission also recorded evidence from officials of Perpetual Treasuries Limited and the former Governor of the Central Bank Arjuna Mahendran. Arjun Aloysius, former Director of Perpetual Treasuries, however, officially announced on the 14th of September that he will not give evidence before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, prompting a statement by the Commission that it cannot compel Aloysius to testify on the basis of the rule of law. The Commission continued to hear evidence for more than 8 months and on 17th of October formally concluded the recording of evidence pertaining to the case in order to begin compiling its report. Following the hearings of the former chief dealer of the Department of Employees Provident Fund of the Central Bank, Saman Kumara, he was interdicted on the 10th of July. In the meantime, former Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake, who appeared before the Commission on August 2nd, resigned from his ministerial post on August 10th after making a special statement in Parliament. Although the term of the Commission was initially set for 3 months, it was extended on several occasions as Commission members were unable to hear evidence of key witnesses. The final report was handed over to President Maithripala Sirisena today by Chairman of the Commission along with its other 2 members.
Minister of Higher Education and Highways Lakshman Kirela says the Sri Lanka Medical Council has agreed to recognise SITEM students who undergo 5 weeks of extra clinical training as fully fledged doctors. He made the claim participating at an event in Colombo.
Following protests and demonstrations by various parties demanding the abolishment of SITEM medical faculty, a committee chaired by Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva was appointed by President Maithripala Sirisena to find solutions for the issue. Accordingly, an understanding was reached that SITEM would be abolished and justice will be meted out for its students, and subsequently medical students called off their boycott of lectures. With the resolution of the issue gradually underway, Minister of Higher Education and Highways Lakshman Kiriyalla had this to say on the issue while addressing the 14th convocation of the Sri Lanka Institute of Advanced Technological Education.
We are proud of you, and unlike the standard universities, you have not given much trouble to the Minister of Education by agitation and demonstrations. The medical students lost 8 months because of their boycott of lecturers. They were the losers, no one else. And yesterday the Medical Council agreed to recognize the SITEM students with 5 more weeks of clinical training, and they will be recognized as doctors on par with those coming out of state universities. So the 8 months lost, the struggle of the students, so-called struggle, has been in vain, because ultimately the Medical Council has recognized the SITEM degree with a few weeks of clinical training. You must understand this. Learn to enjoy the advantages you have without bringing discredit to the place you study.
Speaking to Adi Derana, chairman of the Sri Lanka Medical Council, Professor Colvin Gunaratne said the council was acting upon a recommendation of the committee chaired by Deputy Minister Harsha De Silva on whether SITEM students who had completed the MBBS course needed further training. Professor Gunaratne stated that the council was asked to formulate a further course of training if required, adding that they are in process of doing so. He, however, declined to comment on the validity of the minister's statement. Meanwhile, anti-SITEM fractions expressed their views as well.
Professor Colvin Gunaratne is clearly a SITEM sympathiser. If someone claims undue power and decides to propose such solutions, it will be challenged in court and will stain the SLMC's reputation. If instead of making independent decisions, the SLMC decides to bring about a way to accept the SITEM degree and try to bring forth doctors under that degree, the Government Medical Officers Association is ready to join hands with all anti-SITEM forces and take any form of action. They are trying to give SITEM students 2 months clinical training in each of the main streams of surgery, medicine, obstetrics, gynecology and pediatrics. However, by now, state medical students also do 2 months clinical training in psychiatry. Also in 2015, the SLMC released a report stating that SITEM students don't have any clinical training in emergency medicine. Now they say that training is not needed. We urge the government to stop using the SLMC as a tool.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Higher Education and Highways, however, issued a communique stating that the Sri Lanka Medical Council has not yet notified a final agreement on awarding degrees to SITEM students following a 5-week course of extra clinical training. The communique further states that a variety of proposals, including provision of 35 weeks of extra clinical training to the students, are still under discussion.
President Maithripala Sirisena urges the public to abstain from voting for candidates using liquor irrespective of their party. He made this comment at a public gathering held in Polonnaruwa today.
A public gathering was organised in the Palugasdamana area in Polonnaruwa this evening under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The society has come to be destructive today with school children using drugs. When I compare our younger days with the younger candidates who are present here, we did not have such problems in our villages. I will gather everyone, including women candidates, irrespective of whether they win or not, to build a force to eradicate drugs, and I will work with them to build a better society. No matter which party they represent, do not vote for candidates who use liquor. Now, parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran states they only asked for a solution within a unitary structure and never asked the word federal to be included in the proposed constitution. He made this comment participating at an event held in Jaffna yesterday.
A meeting was held in Nallur yesterday for candidates contesting from the Tamil National Alliance in the upcoming local government elections.
Unitary state, federal.
Mentioning both the terms unitary state and federal, the interim report compiled by the steering committee of the Constitutional Assembly has clearly mentioned in its second page that a unitary state is suitable for Sri Lanka. Diverting from the concept of centralisation, the report's first 2 pages state that power should be devolved between the central and provincial governances. You must know that this is not a unitary state. The word federal has not been used. We never asked for it to be used. We asked for a solution within a unitary structure. We are halfway towards victory. Why should we hide it from the public? We should not. As the clock ticks towards next year's local government elections, People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, or PAFREL, commended the actions of the police over the past few weeks while urging the Inspector General of Police to initiate legal action against those who violate election laws and not merely arresting transgressors. Executive Director of PAFREL, Rohana Hettiarachchi, added that the organisation will deploy 7,000 to 8,000 election observers throughout the country.
A meeting was held yesterday between Executive Director of PAFREL, Rohana Hettiarachchi, and Inspector General of Police, Pujit Jayasundara, along with several senior police officers to discuss the upcoming local government elections. Speaking to First at 9, the Executive Director of PAFREL elaborated on concerns raised about safety of vote counting stations.
We have discussed, but till it's not decided by the Elections Commissioner, we do not know whether they are going to count at the same polling stations or they are going to cluster at least up to the ward base. The police has to deploy minimum 2 police officers each and every polling station. This will be a new experience for the police as well as the elections department. But we believe if voters are able to look after their polling station in the local level, it will not be a big issue even counting take place at the same polling station.
He also spoke about election candidates facing various allegations.
We have collected around 44 cases related to the candidate, and some of them are corrupted, some of them are underworld people. There are so many allegations for the candidate, and the list we have handed over to the IGP, and we request IG to closely monitor these people and deploy special officers on those areas to support the area police to have a free and fair elections.
Meanwhile, Minister of National Dialogue and Official Languages, Mano Ganesan, beefed up his security with the Police Special Task Force, saying he received death threats from members of an underworld gang. In the meantime, a meeting was held for United National Party candidates for local government bodies in the Colombo district under the patronage of former UNP parliamentarian Rosi Senanayake, who is gunning to become the mayor of Colombo along with current UNP parliamentarians.
We are winning this municipal election not to make merry for 4 years, but to win a mandate to develop Colombo. All we ask of you is to carry out a positive campaign. Don't go degrading others because we too have our weaknesses.
All I ask for is a clean election. Don't put up posters and obey election laws. I believe you will join me to make Colombo a smart city that builds up the background for the upcoming port city.
While politicians voiced a variety of views on the upcoming local government election.
How can we, the members of the SLFP, join GL Pires' party? We suggested that we contest under the symbol of the chair, which is open to everyone, including the SLPP. If we had given the nomination under that, all our candidates would have won this hands down. Isn't it a better idea to establish an SLFP government under the premiership of Mahinda Rajapaksa as per the will of the people? Isn't it better to leave the UNP and join the joint opposition? If they are ready to expel us from the party, why should we help them? Should we stop the construction of 200,000 houses and stop granting housing loans just because of an election? Even if Sajith Premadas is thrown in jail, the development being carried out will not be stopped. No other government set prices for its MPs as much as this one. They buy an MP for 200 million rupees. We clearly say that we will not allow the betrayal of the motherland, sale of this country's resources and destruction of the farmers just for the perks and privileges they offer. After the 31st, the first shot for establishing a UNP regime will be fired in this government with the participation of UNP MPs. The Prime Minister likes it. Don't worry, you'll see something happening very soon. A pair of tusks discovered in Tantirimale last night while being readied for sale at 5 million rupees is suspected to be from another well-known tusker by the name Kallaru tusker. The veterinary officer in charge of the Northwest and Anuradhapura zone, Chandana Jayasinghe, said that operations are underway in search of the tusker's body.
The Kallaru tusker attracted much attention among the tuskers in the Kallaru Reserve of the Vilpattu National Park. With 3 people arrested over possession of 2 tusks in Tantirimale, many suspect that the tusks found can be of the Kallaru tusker. When we inquired from Chandana Jaisinghe, the veterinary officer in charge of the Northwest and Anuradhapura zone, he said that investigations are underway in this regard. With the carcass of the giant yet undiscovered, the officer said that the identity of the tusks can be confirmed only through the discovery of its carcass. He further stated that the presence of similarities such as the length of the tusks may point to the fact that the tusks did belong to the Kallaru tusker.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Now, President Maithripala Sirisena has directed officials of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka to extend the time period for the public to hand in mutilated, altered or defaced Sri Lankan currency notes until the 31st of March next year. The deadline for the public to exchange damaged currency notes with licensed commercial banks was initially set to fall tomorrow, the 31st of December. Now, in a bid to counter money laundering activities and to enhance online business, the central bank is keen on having global payment platform PayPal in Sri Lanka. Speaking to reporters in Colombo, Deputy Senior Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said that Central Bank has pledged to provide regulatory space to open up inward payment services to Sri Lanka.
A lot of new technology being introduced. So we have to make sure this, while promoting and encouraging this technology to be introduced for the efficiency purposes, also we have to ensure the stability and there's no fraud and regulation in terms of AML, CFT, money laundering are also being addressed. ICTA or anyone else in the private sector, they can't independently develop their own solutions and cannot implement those things without looking at the overall implications in terms of payment system, payment and settlement stability. PayPal thing also, I actually met the PayPal CEO, invited him to come here, said he would consider coming back. Their view is Sri Lanka is a small market for them to come here. We are very happy to, we have ignited them several times and it's up to them to come and do a due diligence and see enough business potential here for them.
PayPal? No. We are very keen.
In the meantime, Deputy Governor CJP Sirivardhana added that discussions were held with officials of the Information and Communication Technology Agency in order to set up a committee to look into existing gap in enabling the digital economy.
I have to keep in mind that the central bank is the regulator of the payment and settlement in the country. We have the responsibility of maintaining the smooth operation in the payment and settlement in the country. So with this regard, then we had a meeting with the officials and we have seen some gaps of their operations and they have developed the working arrangement, and we set up a committee representing the central bank officials, Lanka Pay officials as well as the ICTA officials, led by one of the deputy director in the central bank, and requested to that committee to submit their report within another 2 weeks time. So once the report is submitted, so then we can see how we can work with the ICTA, especially with regard to this payment platform.
Now, staying on with Central Bank parliamentarian Bandula Gunawardena disputes the Central Bank Governor's statement made on Thursday that the Sri Lankan economy is on a stabilising path and gaining investor confidence. Speaking to media today, he said that the statements of the Central Bank and the government officials are contradictory.
The formulation of the central bank must have credibility. But at the moment, we feel we are broadly in the right place. A number of things are trending in the right direction, and there seems to be increasing confidence in the Sri Lankan economy around the world. So taken together, we are in a reasonably good place at the end of this year. And the rupee, at the beginning of the year, people kept asking me when it was going to get to 160, etc. We are going to end the year. At the moment, it's depreciated by just 1.9%, and it is at about 152.60, I think, at the moment.
ඔබතුමා කියන මේ ආර්ථිකය කඩාවැටලා කියලා. හැබැයි මහ බැංකුව අධිපතිතුමා නම් කිව්වා මේ අවුරුදු අන්තිම වෙනකොට රුපියල අවප්‍රමාණය වීම අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා.
නෑ. එතුමා බොහොම
He has made a number of illogical statements, such as foreign reserves of the country being increased to 10 billion rupees. Yet, the Prime Minister of the country has made contradictory statements at Parliament. It's the talk of the entire world. Therefore, Bloomberg has named Sri Lanka to be one of the countries with high risks to investments. The United States of America has stated that Sri Lanka is one of the most corrupted countries.
ප්‍රකාශයක් කරලා තිබ්බ ආය දුන්න එකේ මුදල් ලැබිලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ මහා භාණ්ඩාගාරයට කියලා. හැබැයි පහුගිය දවස්වල එක ලැබුණා කියලා ප්‍රචාරයකුත් වුණාට අසත්‍ය තොරතුරක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
මම කියන දවස්
The central bank had not received the payment when I made the statement.
ඇවිල්ලා තිබුණේ.
Japan has moved to donate 90 million rupees for landmine clearing missions in the northern province in Sri Lanka. The project to clear landmines in the northern province of the country will be conducted in line with efforts towards building peace, rehabilitation and reconciliation. The relevant agreements were inked at the Embassy of Japan in Colombo yesterday. Sri Lanka expects to be free of landmines by 2020, and since 2003, Japan has donated $32 million to aid the process.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Now, the United States says the world is watching how Iranian authorities respond to anti-government protests that have broken out in several cities. Thousands of people have joined the protests, with scores arrested in the biggest display of public dissent since pro-reform rallies in 2009.
A White House statement said Iranians were fed up with the regime's corruption and its squandering of the nation's wealth to fund terrorism. Taking to Twitter, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the Iranian government should respect their people's rights, including their right to express themselves. The US State Department urged all nations to publicly support the Iranian people and their demands for basic rights and an end to corruption. Iranian authorities in the meantime urged supporters to turn out for nationwide pro-government demonstrations. First Vice President Ishaq Jahangiri has suggested that government opponents are behind the protests. The Governor General of Tehran said that any such gatherings would be firmly dealt with by the police, who are out in force on the main roads. The protest started on Thursday when people took to the streets to express anger at the government over high prices and vented their fury against President Hassan Rouhani. 52 people were arrested for chanting harsh slogans.
Now, 2 gunmen opened fire yesterday outside a church in the Egyptian capital Cairo, killing at least 10 people. The incident also left 5 others wounded, with 2 being critically injured.
The Egyptian Interior Ministry said an assailant was among the dead, while the other fled the scene on a motorbike but was later arrested. The head of Cairo's Security Directorate said the arrested attacker was carrying a bomb, 150 bullets and an automatic gun. The bomb disposal squad also defused 2 bombs planted nearby the church.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Sri Lankan talisman and paceman Lasith Malinga has decided to call time on his one-day international career following the World Cup in 2019. Malinga told Other Derana that he wishes to continue representing the country in the T20 format until the T20 World Cup in 2020.
Lasith Malinga made his one-day international debut in 2004 and represented Sri Lanka in the Test format until 2010. He bagged 101 Test wickets and is currently on 301 ODI scalps, with another 90 to go in the T20 format.
Well, he's done it. He's done him again. Last one, T20.
Saying that he wishes to retire from ODI cricket after the 2019 World Cup, Malinga revealed that he will call time on international cricket following the T20 World Cup in 2020. Speaking to Cricinfo, Malinga said that he is unaware of the reason behind him being rested for the looming tour of Bangladesh and that there is little point in resting a player of his age.
The 4th Ashes Test came to an anticlimactic ending today, with the match ending in a draw. A result would have been a possibility if it wasn't for the frequent rain interruptions yesterday as well as today. The match ended with Australians on 263 for the loss of 4 wickets in their second innings. They are also 3-0 up in the series.
Australia started the day on 103 for 2 with David Warner on 40 and captain Steven Smith on 25. Warner was patient once more and kept the English pacers at bay with a good defensive display. A part-time spinner, however, was to be his downfall as he attempted to capitalise on England captain Joe Root's bowling. The left-hander took an almighty heave to launch the ball into the stands only to be caught by James Vince. That ended a 107-run stand and brought Sean Marsh to the crease. He too couldn't hang around as he was dismissed for just 4, giving England some hope of toppling the Aussies. Smith continued to be an epitome of composure and concentration as he brought up another century with his 102, coming in a patient 275 deliveries. Mitchell Marsh also aided his captain and held his end to remain unbeaten with his score of 29 coming in 166 deliveries. Alastair Cook was the man of the match for his unbeaten marathon innings of 244. The fifth and final test in the series will get underway in Sydney on the 4th of January.
Moving on to tennis now, world number 2 Roger Federer gave Switzerland the early advantage in their Hopman Cup clash against Japan with a straight sets victory today. The Swiss tennis star beat Yuichi Sugita 6-4, 6-3 in front of a packed-out crowd in Perth. Asked if he was in the form of his life, Federer said he's playing very well and is happy still to be competing at the highest level. Federer will be back on court for the mixed doubles, where he will partner up with Belinda Bencic to take on the Japanese pairing. Now let's cross over to Shenela Fernando at the Other Derana Weather Centre for your forecast first evening edition.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 27 degrees Celsius in the coastal areas, with central hills being hit by the lowest temperatures. A low pressure zone is expected to form over the southern region of the island and will gradually disappear. Tomorrow will be much brighter and a sunny day in the northern and eastern parts of the island, including Jaffna, Anuradhapura, Trincomalee as well as Batticaloa. For Galle, Mathura and Hambantota, however, it will be contrasting fortunes as showers and thundershowers are expected during the course of the day tomorrow. Well, one more day to go for the new year, so enjoy your last day of this year. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
And that's it from all of us at First at Night for today. Now, when you have time, make sure you connect with us on Facebook by going to facebook.com/firstatnine or even on Twitter by logging on to twitter.com/firstatnine. And before we go, we'd like to leave you with some breathtaking winter scenery from across China. The austere but stunning views attract visitors not only from within China, but also from all over the world. Thanks for watching.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.